Hey. Easy. Take it easy. What up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast of the week. We know it's the highlight of your week. It's the highlight of ours. This is Third Thoughts. My name is Clay. I am your host, and I'm live with the Chief in the flesh.
Yes, I'm here.
Wow. Really taking the air out of my intro. And I'm live with RNDY.
What's up?
No vowels.
No vowels, just like Yahweh.
Sometimes Y. Sometimes Y is a vowel.
Maybe, is it in Hebrew or do you remember? Did you already
I don't
purge all that knowledge?
even know what that language is.
It's all Greek to me.
We need sound effects.
I know. I have a little soundboard. I can't find good effects. If you know where to get good effects, hit me up.
I know where good emojis are at.
You would think somebody in our studio audience would. What did you say?
Nothing.
They can hear you, you know.
But they can't see me.
That's true.
They couldn't see what I did.
That's true. You'd think somebody in our studio audience who's like into sound engineering and stuff would like hook me up with some sound effects, but he just hasn't.
I think he's the one who's over there, that got that notice for us here about that movie.
I don't care how he gets them. It doesn't matter how he gets them to me. It doesn't bug me one bit. Because as far as I know, he made them. You know, does that absolve me of guilt?
Yeah.
Chief, are you okay?
Yeah.
Why are you being like that? Why are you like?
He hasn't had enough Mountain Dew today.
Yeah.
Did you go to Zaxby's too?
No, that's not my cup.
Oh.
Did you have anything to drink, soda wise?
I had a Mountain Dew this morning.
Somebody
only one soda a day
you
now.
can only have one. Do you need
That's
coffee?
right.
That's why he's like this. It's later in the day. We have
Withdrawal.
I got caffeine pills.
I had to drink water.
You want caffeine pills?
Yucky.
I have like a huge bottle of 100 milligram caffeine pills I got for the fast and never took.
I got a Coke Zero cherry,
It's a soda.
but it's not.
Doesn't matter.
Soda's it's relative as to whether or not it's a soda.
The deal I made was one soda.
It's regardless of calories.
With the
calories
devil?
or sugar.
With myself.
Is your
That
self
way,
really?
if you go back on it, you're offended with yourself, and I refuse to do that.
Is your self really holding you to it?
So far, not yesterday. I failed yesterday.
Oh no!
But I forgot. It wasn't because I'm just like, I'm going to drink this extra soda. Had the migraine.
Yeah.
So, that wiped me out. So most of the day, I wasn't conscious to even drink soda. Then I had a soda, and then I had to go pick up Madison from the airport last night. So we're like, let's leave a little early. Let's go by the Varsity, right?
Sure.
So I go to the Varsity,
Naturally.
get my 2 chili burgers, my chili dog, my onion rings.
I can't say anything. I ate an obscene amount
So
of
how's
Taco
your
Bell
stomach
last
feeling
night.
today?
Great. And I also had a soda.
Yeah.
And my wife said, that's a soda. And I'm like, oh, I forgot. So I refilled the cup and drank it on the way to the airport because I'd already failed.
If you go any over one, you might as well just.
Well, see, that's my problem with diet. Like now that I ate Zaxby's and didn't get grilled chicken, I want Culver's ice cream when we finish.
You just want to keep. It's
I just
like
don't care.
Right. At a certain point, like
All
doesn't matter.
Well, it's all or nothing, black or white thinking. It's a problem.
Yes, it is.
It is bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Last night, I ate a lot last night, too. I've been thinking about Taco Bell all day. And that's the worst. Because when you think about it, you want it even more. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go. So me and Spence hop in the car. We go to Taco Bell. We pull up. And lo and behold, I didn't even know this was there, but they have a double cheesy gordita crunch. Yeah. Okay, so the gordita crunch normally is the basically a hard shell taco, Baja sauce, and then they do cheese and then wrap it in the soft gordita shell, right? Well, now they've added another shell, and it has more meat.
Whoa.
On the outside of the cheese.
Wow. Is it a hard shell or a soft shell
It's
on
a
the
soft
outside?
shell. It's quite hefty. So I got that in the box, of course.
Yeah.
'Cause it's just too good of a deal. It's $5.
Right.
Comes with 2 tacos, drink.
And
right?
you get a box.
Yeah.
Did you save the box?
No. But it is helpful to take it home.
Yeah, it's just then you have to throw the box away, and it takes up a large amount of space in your trash can.
Yeah.
And makes it appear like you have more trash than you actually do.
So then I get the drink, right? But then that's not enough for me. Because, listen, I've been thinking about this all day, so I got a Crunchwrap Supreme as well.
Yeah.
I crushed it.
Yeah.
I crushed it before Spencer finished 1 taco.
I mean, I'm
not exaggerating.
Yeah, I mean, when you go, okay, Taco Bell, man, but like the Varsity, that's like a treat.
It
you know,
is.
it's not like something I have all the time.
It's like the crystal.
So
to me.
when I go there, I feel obligated to like
Go all out.
yeah.
You
eat a
don't know
lot.
when you'll be back.
Because I want the 2 chili burgers. I mean, that's just like that's what I want.
just
When I
not
go
big
there,
on the
that's
chili.
what I want.
No.
And then I feel like, well, I can't leave the chili dog out. Its feelings will get hurt, so I have to get the chili dog, and then I have the onion rings. And last night they misunderstood my order, so I got the 2 chili burgers and onion rings, and then she thought I was ordering a chili dog and onion rings. So she gave me 2 chili burgers, a chili dog, and 2 orders of onion rings.
Oh, so you ended up with a ton of food then.
Yeah.
You ate all that?
My wife said, let's make room for Steve's hog platter.
Wow.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Dude, you need to go lighter next time you go to Varsity and go to Sublime Donuts.
I don't like donuts.
What? You'll like these donuts.
Just
They're
not
amazing.
a big donut fan of the I'm not a big fan of the airy Krispy Kreme or the cake Dunkin'. Yeah, I'm just not a big donut fan.
What about like a local place, like somewhere that's not a chain? You ever been to a donut shop that you really liked?
I've never had a Danny's donut.
In Gainesville, here, yeah.
Yeah, but
Never?
but I would be willing to eat Danny's donuts. Put pictures of myself online eating Danny's donuts, and also say the phrase at least once during our podcast, sponsored by Danny's Donuts, if they actually sponsored us.
That would be great.
We could probably hook that up.
Yeah.
Aren't you related to somebody that knows somebody that...
Yeah, but I don't want donuts as sponsorship.
You want money.
I want money as sponsorship. And then I'll eat the donuts too.
I hear you. Yes, so...
I mean, from what everybody says, those donuts are amazing.
they are good. They are
Apple
good.
fritter is amazing.
Yeah, the apple fritter is good.
Well,
That's not a
okay, we
donut,
got to
though.
stop talking because we're giving free advertising.
Right. So let me finish the intro. We didn't even finish the intro.
Okay, yeah. Because
If you're listening live on Spreaker, we appreciate that. If you're listening later on anything else, we also appreciate that. But let us know where you're listening. If you drop us a review or a comment, that helps us out the most. This is Third Thoughts. Let's jump right into it. It's Wednesday, August 22nd.
Yeah, I mean, if you're listening from the great state of South Dakota,
Yes.
you are living in the best state to live in if you were in the middle class.
Really?
South Dakota is ranked the best place for middle class individuals to live. Iowa is second, and Florida, because of no state income tax, is third.
Huh.
Yeah.
So what makes South Dakota so good?
The best place for middle class individuals to live. The state has a college graduation rate of more than 48%, while in-state tuition fees for the 2017-2018 school year were about $8,400. The median list price for a home was $229,000, and home ownership rate is about 69%.
So it's just like a...
It was some kind of algorithm or formula they put together to
Facebook
determine
come
it.
up with it.
Georgia was not in the top 5, nor were they in the bottom 5.
So we're just
So just living right there.
right there in mediocrity.
Yeah, right in mediocrity, just like everything else.
Wow.
No, we're not mediocre in education.
No, we're not.
No,
we're
we're
down towards the bottom.
That's... Yeah.
I mean, we're above Mississippi and Alabama. That's all that matters to me. But I mean, I
Are
don't
we
know.
above Alabama?
If we're not, I'm leaving.
To
I
go
don't
to
know.
Alabama?
I'm not going to look that up. I'm not going to take the time to look that up.
Well, okay. So South Dakota, and then what was the second? Iowa?
Iowa, but breaking news out of Iowa.
Yeah.
Story I've been following.
Yep.
Molly Tibbetts, the college student who was jogging, her body was found yesterday in a cornfield.
Yeah, the guy let him, right?
Yeah.
The guy they charged.
Yeah. Basically, what happened is they had video from different people, different stores, and his car was seen around her in several different video clips.
Yeah.
So he was circling her.
Yeah.
He says that this is where I get a little fuzzy because evidently he pulled up and parked the car and got out and ran beside her, which I'm not clear on that. And he kept trying to talk to her, and she finally said, "Leave me alone." And he said that at that moment he blacked out, and he came to himself. No, okay, he blacked out.
Yeah. So he says.
He doesn't remember anything, but yet he came to himself, and he got out of his car, and he went around to the trunk and opened the trunk, and her body was in the trunk with blood coming from her head. I just don't know about you guys, but I mean, if I truly had no recollection, I can't remember the last time I've just went and opened my trunk just for the sake of opening my trunk.
Yeah, like what prompted him to get out and look in the trunk?
Correct. Right. He remembers this. So he carried her body out into the cornfield.
Buried her.
And no, he didn't bury her.
He just threw her out there?
He just put her out there and tore some corn down and stacked it over the top of her.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
So
But that's it. Like he literally just
but listen,
murdered her.
This is going to be a fiasco. It's already going to be. I mean, it's already going to be a political war.
Oh, yeah.
This poor girl, her family, what they've been through. She was killed by an illegal immigrant.
Yeah.
Who worked for a farm owned by a former Republican representative.
Yep, passed the E-Verify.
Passed the E-Verify, the whole deal. So this is going to just be like a heyday on both sides of the aisle, and this poor girl's life is going to be campaign fodder, and it's just a shame. And listen, I want to apologize to the pig farmer. I don't know his name, but I thought the pig farmer is the one that did it. So I apologize to you, guy. I thought you were guilty. Thought this was just like that episode of Criminal Minds. But
Yeah, well,
But he was sketchy.
It was sketchy.
Criminal stalking twice.
What? That is sketchy, dude.
That's sketchy.
Yeah,
For
they
sure.
find a shirt right down the road, just like her shirt. Pigs eat everything.
Yep.
I thought he fed the body to the pigs. But so happens that that's not what happened. She was found about 15 miles away from her hometown of Brooklyn.
Yeah. Really is a sad story. And
It's a very sad story.
Yeah.
My heart goes out to the family.
for sure. And
yeah.
you were talking about this being politicized, though.
Yeah.
Because it is already, it's too late. It already has been.
Oh, yes.
And we were talking, before you got here, me and Randy were talking about this, that, what was it, the New York Times?
Yeah, New York Times doesn't have the story on the front page of their website. You scroll down, it's not there.
There's no Molly Tibbetts story.
No
Right.
Molly Tibbetts story.
And then, Fox News.
Front page, there's like 4 different sub-articles
So-
about it.
So there's that, and then Business Insider has this article from just a few hours ago, and the headline from Business Insider says Fox News slammed for covering the killing of college student more prominently than the convictions of 2 top Trump aides. Talking about Manafort and Cohen, right? So,
Which is the headline on New York Times.
right. So Fox News is now being criticized.
Because they care more about human life than they do white collar crime.
And it's not that the Trump aid stories are not on the front page. They're there, but the Molly Tibbetts story is the big box, and those stories are the smaller boxes underneath it.
Right, because liberals do not value human life, only their own agenda.
It really is ridiculous to look at different news outlets and to be able to see that it's that clear now. Like, I think there might have been a time when this was all kind of covered up decently well still, and kind of the wool was over our eyes, and it was still like, just different perspectives, But now it really is like,
oh, yeah.
you're getting filtered this, and you're going to get this, depending on where you go. And you really can see what matters to those bigger corporations. It's really terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
The media is destroying our country.
It's terrifying, man.
We can say that it's the person in the White House,
It is.
But the media is destroying our country. It's the media.
Now you sound like a parrot of the person in the White House.
Oh, it's the truth.
See, I don't know if I'd go that far. We shouldn't. Intelligent readers know there's a slant, right? I mean, I went to Fox News simply because I need to get outside of my box. I read New York Times every day. I get notifications to my phone every day. But you guys push me.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. Most people don't get out of their box.
You could use, you use a news aggregator, right?
Yeah. So I use Apple News or Google News, which pulls now.
Still slanted,
right? They're not totally unbiased because if nothing else, they are slanted for me because Apple is collecting my data, Google's collecting my data, my search history, my web history, what I like, what ads I click on. They know all that stuff, so they're feeding me news stories based on the things I do on my phone. So there's if nothing else, there's that slant. So we have to know. Yeah, you're right. The intelligent reader should know everything's come with a slant. The problem is what happens is people will lock into their favorite, and to their own viewpoints, and then they end up in their echo chamber.
Yep.
And that's the only thing they ever read.
I mean, you have to be careful. Like with Facebook.
Oh yeah,
it's hard for me because I see a lot of these things that I would consider ignorance posted, right? Like this whole conspiracy thing going around. What was it about the grain? The cereal having pesticides in it.
Oh yeah,
that's the latest fake news thing going around.
Ridiculous.
Surprisingly, that is something that I would think I would know about.
Yeah, well,
that's
it's
true,
not real. Right?
Yeah, it's not real.
So that's why you don't know.
But like, I unfriend those people. If you post stuff that is just, if you post an intelligent,
so they said cereal has pesticides in it.
Yeah, and it names certain brands.
Like they sprayed the cereal box?
No, but the pesticides
were on the grains.
Were on the grains that made the cereal, and they were maintained throughout the process. Yeah, that's what I said
it's
too.
It's not.
It's a joke, but there's people that believe it. Like my friend posted this.
Okay, beyond a shadow of a doubt, those grains were sprayed with pesticides.
Right, but they were cleaned.
Yeah, and those pesticides do alter the food to some extent.
Sure.
But it's no more harmful than going to the grocery store and getting an ear of corn and eating it.
Right.
Probably the ear of corn you get at the grocery store is more harmful than the cereal because it hasn't been processed. If you're worried about the pesticide in cereal, you worried about the wrong thing.
Yeah, for sure. But people are believing this, and my friend posted an article contra this, the truth.
Yeah.
And my wife made a sarcastic comment, and the friend says, well, this isn't, for you. We know that you understand that this is fake. Well, a third party chimed in later. And said, oh gosh, we stopped eating this cereal. I'll never support this brand again because of the pesticides. They totally believed it.
What was the brand?
Oh, I didn't read about it. I didn't read enough about it.
I don't remember.
But it's just funny because it's the person the third party that chimed in was from Alabama, of course. And Alabama was
some
below
UGA bias.
No. That's just intelligence bias. But they were from Alabama, right? I mean, I'm only like a mile. Was born only a mile from Alabama, so I really can't say anything. Small river. Small river separated us from there, but
a strong wind, and you would have been born in Alabama.
When I was a redneck as a kid, I would wade across the river to Alabama, and we'd get out and go eat some hamburgers.
I feel like that did happen for sure.
It actually really did happen. But then I grew up, and I don't know.
Yeah, because if you cross the border, it's cheaper on the other side. Everything's cheaper on the other side of the border.
The Georgia border?
I'm just saying
or any border.
That's everybody's mentality, though.
It really is.
If you go over the border, it's cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, any third world country you go into over the border.
Right.
Yeah, like Alabama. Yeah.
Boom!
So, anyway. I mean, but Alabama does have its pluses, right? I mean, it does separate us from Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm just saying.
Mr. Slippy.
Anyway, but yeah, the media has become, it's not about humanity anymore. It's just about political interest. That's what drives media. Now, I'm not saying that Fox News doesn't ignore stories that they should cover.
Well,
they do.
For sure, there's not much on. There's not nearly as much coverage on there.
And most every story that comes out now has this twist. The liberal media, if you're reading Fox News, the liberal media is not saying this.
Right.
Or the right-wing media is not doing this if you're on the other side. So, it's almost like if I'm already reading your news, why are you trying to turn me against the other news? Mm-hmm. It's like a preacher standing up on Sundays and screaming about attendance being low to the people that are there.
Right.
Just makes no sense.
Right.
But
I mean, it's not about reporting what happened. It's not about that at all.
No, but I will say that we have had a lot of presidents in the past. Mm-hmm. Had they had the media coverage and the social media that is now focused on this president, they would have seemed just as bad as him.
Possibly. I mean, the thing is, he's created for himself a lot of
Oh, yeah. Listen, I've said, and from the beginning, had they not allowed him to tweet, if they said, when you get elected, you lose your right to tweet.
Which probably
he
should be a thing.
would not seem like as bad a president as he seems.
That's right. That's correct. Because most of the childish stuff he says and the stuff that makes him look just unintelligent is on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. Because if that was done away with, people would be able to look and say, that thing is good that he's done. Because there are some good things, but it's overshadowed by all the insanity that's spewed out on Twitter.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think, I don't think that a president should maintain a personal account.
No, somebody should be monitoring that.
There should be an office like there is, because there is.
Yeah,
the
there's
POTUS
an office
account,
of the
the POTUS account is the Twitter account of the president, regardless of who that individual might be.
Right.
But I don't think that a president should be able to maintain a personal account while they're in office.
No.
It's too many bad things happen on personal social media.
What's just interesting that they're allowed to, as tightly as they control.
Yeah.
As tight as they control the rest of the output. Well,
I don't know. Okay, here is one thing that I do say about the White House. I can't say it's the president, but the White House, there's a lot of nonsense that's going on in the White House that's never gone on before. Well, I'm sure it has gone on before, but that because of social media and because of all the things we get access to, like Omarosa being able to get into the Oval Office with a recording device.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
That should never happen.
No.
For her, one of the reasons she got ousted is because she would just walk into meetings she wasn't supposed to be in and sit down.
I mean, that culture.
In National Security Council meetings, she would come in and sit down.
Yeah, it's absurd.
But that's the culture that's created.
A reality star is sitting. Come on now. I mean, that's not a good environment.
No, that's what I'm. Yeah, the culture that's been created because of. I mean, everything rises or falls on leadership, and he's created that culture of insanity. I mean, nobody can probably remember the rules because they've been cycled through so much. How many people has he fired / let go / they resigned?
It's a lot.
It's a lot, dude. I don't know. You can't. The turmoil that I don't remember that. I mean, maybe before I was born, but I don't ever remember a White House like that. It's never been.
It wasn't like that before you were born because enough Democrats hadn't been in office yet to swell the government to the size that it was. So there wasn't that many employees to let go of. I'm just saying. But anyway,
I will say
we're talking
this.
about the political media is what we're talking about and how terrible they are. Listen, every single person should be covering this story. Not because her life is more important, but because it was pushed to the forefront of news.
Yeah.
And people need closure on that, and they need to know who killed her. And they need to know that she was thrown in a cornfield and covered up with corn stalks like trash.
Right. You can't...
Probably in hopes that they would combine that field and grind her body up.
Right. And you can't push something like that out and make it big and then want to reduce it when the conclusion comes just because you think something else.
Honestly, New York Times never pushed it until you talked about it last week. And I follow the news fairly well, but I don't always read other sites as much as I should. I didn't hear much about it.
But what happens is everything clamps down now that it's an illegal immigrant.
Yep.
So nobody wants to report that.
No, they don't want to talk about it.
Well, that's the
now.
angle that's covered on. I mean, her picture is beside his picture on the Fox News website, and that's, like you said, that's the angle that's going to pick up. And
Oh yeah, because I mean that's the political agenda.
Yep.
And the story's going to be this terrible, icky, dark person crawls across the border with the intent of malice in his heart.
Yeah.
And he stalks this innocent college student. And listen, what happened was terrible.
Oh, yeah.
But I know a lot of people that come across the border that are not icky, dark people.
they're great people.
They work hard.
Yeah. They don't have documentation.
Yes.
They're good people.
Yes, good people. You know, fix this thing.
Yeah.
Go to a fair tax and fix this thing. Go to a fair tax and make everyone, whether they have documentation or not, pay for their health care. Fix this thing and fix the legal immigration process into our country. Fix this thing.
Yeah.
You know, but we have found out now that all of these radical, militant radicals from India have been flying into Mexico and crossing the border into America undetected.
Yeah, have you seen Sicario, the second part, the Sicario 2?
No.
That's what happens in the movie is some guys come over and they are smuggled across the border by Mexican drug lords. That's part of the plot of the movie.
Okay, yeah, no, I haven't seen it.
And it's
but it's reality
happening.
now.
Yeah.
I mean, thousands and thousands of them are now in our country.
Yeah.
Build a wall, but open the gates to legal immigration. Build the wall and put in a fair tax. Build the wall. Make people pay for health care. Build the wall. Treat everybody the same way.
Well, that's the thing.
I don't care if you build the wall.
Right.
But you have to give an alternative for people to
Right.
come here.
No,
or we're all going to become ingrown,
Yep.
ignorant, inbred people with no new ideology, and the whole country is going to be like Alabama.
I
Well,
think you
but I
just
think-
perfectly described
Yeah,
the
I think
people.
that's the problem
Yeah.
that's the problem with a lot of this administration solution is they're just like one-offs. Like, oh yeah, what we're going to do about this is just that.
There's no overarching
But you
policy.
can't just throw a wall up. There has to be, like you just said, there has to be more to that. You've got to build systems.
Yeah, and okay, here's the only fair thing. I know, and I know, you know who I am, but I don't really hold things back on this podcast. So if I offend you on this podcast, it's really who I am. So just readjust your life and get used to it. But if you're gonna build a wall on our southern border, I know a lot of people from Canada. Okay, I like less people from Canada than I do from South America and Mexico.
They don't even have good food in Canada.
Poutine?
Listen, I'm telling you,
It's good.
build a wall to the north as well and help me not have to deal with those people. Just because they're white, they shouldn't get special privilege.
Yeah, we do need to hold off the White Walkers, don't we? They're coming.
Yes.
Winter's coming.
That is a good point. I see what you're saying.
If you're going to build a wall,
build a cube. What if the whole United States was in one big cube?
and to make me happy, now, I mean, my daughter's out there. But you can cut California and build a wall on this side of California, too.
Honestly, which states would you keep, Chief?
Which states would I keep?
Yeah, because I feel like
He-
there
no,
are a
he
lot
would
of
go to the
states that you would not.
He would you'd be like a neo-Confederate, wouldn't you? Like everything would be like states' rights, and you'd go
I
to
would
like
probably go just west of Texas. I mean, New Mexico's okay.
It's okay.
I'd probably engulf it.
Okay.
Then probably run up, maybe use the Grand Canyon
Uh-huh.
and kind of go up, but not all the way to the top. And then I would cut across and I would leave Illinois and Ohio and of course, all the Northeast out.
You don't want any of that.
Yeah.
They hold a lot of your values. Some of the small town people, you would fit in Vermont and New Hampshire and Maine and the backwoods.
I love me some New Hampshire, Vermont game wardens. Northwoods Law is the most quality program on television.
Dude, you really would fit in there. I mean, it's like driving through rural New Hampshire is like driving through southeast Georgia.
But I can't just take them. I have to cut the whole. To get rid of the parts I don't want, I have to lose some people that I like.
There's only a few bastions of liberalism there.
I guess I can build a
What if it was
bridge.
just like city states.
I know,
I can build a bridge over the part that I don't like to get up there.
Who's going to pay for the bridge?
Nobody, because we don't have any
I'll
tax
just
money.
get Ocasio-Cortez to come up with a funding plan. She's going to be able to fund everything else.
Everyone pays for the bridge. It's our bridge.
She went. Okay, I wasn't going to talk about her today.
It's too late.
She went on and she
can't help
lamented.
it.
She lamented about the coffee shop that
Closing,
she worked out
yeah.
closing because they could not afford to pay the rising minimum wage.
Yeah.
But part of her campaign is that she wants to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour.
Yeah.
Dude, there's going to be a lot of kiosks at McDonald's for $15 an hour.
Oh, yeah.
And I like those because I don't have to deal with people that don't want to deal with me.
You know, in the great scheme of things, life is not fair. There are $7.25 per hour people. That's their skill level.
Yeah.
They don't try to enhance their skill in any way. That's just their skill level. Some of them try and they can't, but that's their skill level.
Right.
There are $35 an hour people. That's their skill level. You can't just say, let's make it fair for everybody and pay everybody $15 an hour.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, and the technology, that's a good point, too, because it's coming to the point where a lot of those jobs that pay for that skill level, a computer can do those jobs and do them well.
But here's
without talking back,
here's
without
the problem.
not showing up.
This is how much she doesn't understand economics. Okay, let's just say, I'm going to make this easy math for me so I don't get into fractions, okay? Let's just say minimum wage is $7.50,
Okay.
and I'm going to raise it to $15.
Okay.
In everybody's mind, that helps individuals.
Right, because they're getting more money per hour.
But it only helps half the individuals, and it hurts the other half.
Right.
Because if I can only afford to pay $7.50 an hour,
Yep.
minimum wage is raised to $15 an hour, I'm firing
The other half.
Yeah.
a $7.50 an hour employee,
To pay
and I'm
one.
making that person work harder and longer.
For $15.
And these are people, this is the lower end of the socioeconomic scale. So these are the people that can't afford childcare.
Yeah.
They can't afford good health care. So I'm going to make them tireder and more susceptible to sickness and disease. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make them spend more time away from their kids, and I'm going to lock their kids in a single bedroom apartment with one window and a can of pork and beans to eat. And the others I'm just going to lay off so the whole family can starve.
Right.
Raising minimum wage doesn't work. Raise skill level.
Right.
If you want to help people, start nonprofits, NGOs that go into impoverished areas and teach life skills. Those same life skills that college students detest. You have to go in, you have to take the life skills test, that teach you how to study and all that stuff. College students are not the ones that need that. Mm-hmm. It's people that are in the lower end of the socioeconomic spectrum that they need this life skills training. They need to know how to dress to go to an interview. They need to know how to type. They need to know how to do things that will lift their level instead of just saying, hey, you know what, let's just pay them twice as much.
Right. Yeah, it's.
I'm sorry. I didn't
No,
mean I
no,
didn't mean
no,
to
no,
sit up
dude,
there.
Again.
I'm passionate.
This kind of goes back to the wall thing. This is not a one-stop solution. You can't just slap another $7.50 into the hourly wage. You got to build a system, multiple systems,
Yes.
to teach people, to educate people, to train people, to sustain those jobs.
Seattle has started a progressive minimum wage increase like this lady is saying we need across the nation. It needs to be federal. They started it. So far, minimum wage has only risen 3%. Okay? They've raised minimum wage 3%, but yet 9% of minimum wage jobs have gone away.
Really?
Yeah, there's economic side effects. I mean, it's opportunity cost is the economic term for it. You choose one thing, you lose something. That's the cost.
Right.
It's like you're saying you're gonna, and then they're not thinking about what does this do further up the salary chain.
Yeah.
Because if you're paying unskilled workers this much, what are you going to have to pay skilled workers? What do you have to pay the managers? What are you going to have to pay the person that is an area manager?
It's like killing wasps. You know, like wasps are annoying.
Yeah.
Nobody likes a red wasp. It stings you. It's pretty aggressive, builds a big nest. It's just a problem. But if you killed all of them,
yeah, you killed the red wasps, and
it would ruin everything.
And all the aphids they were eating at your house, come to my house and eat my squash.
Exactly. So it's like that. Like you can't just slap a solution. That's the thing. That's what everybody wants, though. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants that one solution. Just fix it. This fixes everything. Here we go.
Right,
but that doesn't exist.
No, because
we're too deep.
Yes, we're such a big entity.
Yeah, we're too deep.
That there is not a single solution because we have so many busted, broken systems. Because every 4 to 8 years, somebody comes in and they spend the first part of their administration rather than doing holistic, systematic changes, systems and processes in place, they try to undo the previous person's legacy.
Yep. Everybody takes digs at the people behind them. Yeah.
So what we need to do is get these people in a room together and say, listen, you won. This is the programs. This is what they're meant to do. Maybe I didn't get it right, but this is what we tried to do. This is how we thought about it. This was kind of our take on it. So you bring your best people and let's just try to make this thing better rather than just scrap it and start over. You can't. Something as big as America, you can't fix in 4 years.
No.
So you can't just undo.
You can kill it.
Yeah.
You can kill it.
Oh yeah.
But you can't fix it.
You can't
in 4
just start
years.
undoing everything and then expect.
And I'm not
to get
saying
anywhere.
that the things that this president undid didn't need to be undone. Some of those things did need to be undone. But just undoing is not a solution.
You can't leave things empty, and you got to be efficient about it. Like you can't just come in and take the things you hate the most,
right?
And focus on you got to look at the whole thing and go, okay, I've only got maybe 4 years at this. What are going to be the most efficient changes I could make?
Yes,
not the most impactful on the media side or the most impactful on the political side, but what will help the most. Let's be the most efficient. Because that's not how it is.
One thing this guy has done, the economy's better.
Yeah, the problem with that is it's hard to say what the results of that are, because a lot of people are saying an economic slowdown is coming because of Trump, and that the results of where we are now are because of.
Okay, yeah, let me finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so he's those things have turned and are moving in a positive direction. So and that's always been kind of his wheelhouse. That's who he is as a businessman. So all these side issues that he's pouring these resources into and these things that he's just trying to splash fix, why not spend those time and those resources to major on the thing he's good at?
Right.
And instead of propping something up, create the systems and structures around it so it can continue to grow because listen, here's one thing we know about Americans. All Americans, doesn't matter what side of the aisle they're on, Americans are generous people. If you put more money in their pocket, they're going to give more money to the world. Mm-hmm. It's just in the American DNA.
Yeah.
So let's fill those pockets up so that they can give it away and help the world. Yeah. We got to move on, or we're going to talk about this.
I mean,
time.
it's okay. I mean, it's one of those things.
Yeah, but there's some important things I need to talk about.
There are some important things. I was gonna bring this up. You were talking about the kiosk at McDonald's, replacing the jobs, and I was gonna say, eventually you won't even need that because you got things like Uber Eats and these other, services that just bring stuff to your house, right? Bring
Yeah.
food there. You don't even have to see anybody. They just drop it off. But we could take it a step further. We're talking about robots. Have you seen this? The Russians' weapons company that built the bipedal robot
for Metal
war?
Gear.
Yeah. It's
Yes.
a 13-foot tall gold killer robot.
What?
Yeah. Kalashnikov Concern presented a large, strange-looking, bulletproof robot. It's in development at the Army 2018 fair near Moscow and posted video of the machine on its website. The gold robot, which the company calls a controlled bipedal walker, reportedly weighs 4.5 tons and can hold objects in its claws, potentially including weapons. A cabin can be seen behind the robot's glass panels where people could sit and operate from the inside. Yeah, I mean, it's designed for engineering and combat solutions. This is like a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like what's the one with the blue things that run around? Avatar.
Yeah.
That's what they were in Avatar.
Yeah, it's like those.
Yeah.
Or like Metal Gear.
Metal Gear, man.
Does Russia not get the picture though that war is the direction to really move is smaller, so it's harder to shoot?
And it's gold too, like it's gaudy. Like
Wait,
You
didn't
see
Trump
it?
fund this? Trump funded this, right?
yeah.
Yeah, for his Russian
Trump
presidential
International.
campaign that he's going to run.
No,
Yeah.
he funded. It's going to be part of the space program.
See this has potential. This could deliver me McDonald's to my house.
It could.
It
Yeah.
could cook it.
Can you
with
imagine?
its claws? It could cook it.
Can you imagine?
Pack it in its cabin and fly to my house and then drop it off my doorstep and leave.
As long as it doesn't squeeze it with its
We can pay
pinchers.
that thing $15 an hour.
Can you imagine 4 tons coming down your street to deliver you a little tiny
Everything's
bag of
like
McDonald's?
shaking.
Everybody be like, Clay, order pizza again.
Here comes the Kalashnikov robot.
So here's something that's really bothered me.
Okay, tell us.
Did
seem
you
bothered.
know? Yeah,
seem
I
bothered.
am bothered. Did you know that the royal family? Okay, Prince Harry and Meghan. What are the other ones' names?
Charles?
No, the kids.
Oh,
Charles' kids. Her name is Kate.
you said
William.
William.
William and Kate.
Yeah.
They don't have custody of their children.
What?
This surprises everybody in the room, right?
They don't.
They do not have custody of their children.
William and Kate.
Correct. Do not have custody of their children.
So who does?
And when Harry and Meghan have children, they will not have custody of their children.
Who does?
The Queen.
Queen Elizabeth is something else.
The Queen has custody of the royal babies.
Really? So they belong to her until
I don't know.
Till she dies?
I don't know. It's the strangest thing
She'll
I've
never
ever.
die.
Yeah, I mean, it's the strangest thing I've. This goes back to King George, who ruled in the early 1700s, and the law's never been changed. He did it because he had a very good relationship with his son, the future King George II. So they had this law passed that meant the king was the guardian of his grandchildren.
Huh. Wow. So they're really her kids.
Yeah.
She'll never die.
She's about to
gonna
peace out. She's
no,
gone
dude,
soon,
she's gonna
yeah.
outlive everyone.
So listen, since they're at her custody, let me find one of them's name because I don't know.
You see
the
her,
kid's
what
name.
was her? It was her like holistic doctor or something that just died. It's like her doctor for like 20-something years. When your doctor dies, that's when you know, like,
Yeah.
you've been here a while.
So George belongs to the Queen.
Uh-huh.
So if he's technically hers, what stops her from just saying, "Ha ha ha! I got y'all now. Charles, you're out. William, you're out. Harry, you're out. George is the man."
Can she do that?
I don't know.
I don't think so. There's probably laws about that in the.
She's the Queen.
Yeah, it doesn't work quite like that.
She is the queen.
But I mean, I just found that just remarkable.
That's
interesting.
It bothered you though.
It bothered
Does
me.
that upset you?
Kind of, yeah, it does. I just think that's a very strange custom.
Well, the whole thing to me is strange. The whole Queen King.
Bubba Shark.
The whole Queen and King thing is strange to me. I mean, they have no power. They're just there.
and just filthy rich.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, tons of cash. You know what else? Here's something that's bugging me. Can I bring something up that's bugging me?
Yeah.
Since we're doing that. Look at this story here. America's prisoners are going on strike in at least 17 states.
Grayson football team.
Now, hold on. Let me just read this. Demonstrations are planned to take place from August 21st, which was yesterday, to September 9th, which marks the anniversary of the bloody uprising at the Attica Correctional Facility in New York. During this time, inmates across the U.S. plan to refuse to work, and in some cases, refuse to eat, to draw attention to poor prison conditions and what many view as exploitative labor practices in American correctional facilities. Now, okay.
Oh.
I understand that human life is a sacred thing, that there are certain inalienable rights that being alive that you have those by being alive. Okay? And I think that it's important to treat people as human beings. But if you are in prison, you're rightfully in prison. You have been convicted. You are serving a sentence in a correctional facility.
For breaking the law.
So you chose, okay, you had your rights, and you chose to break the laws.
You handed your rights back.
Right. Now you are incarcerated. How do we get to the place that you can now go on strike and not work while being incarcerated? Like strike, like you missed the boat for that. Like you should have gone on strike when you had a job.
Right.
In the regular world.
Yes.
But when you had all your rights. But now you're in prison and you want to go on strike.
What I would like for them to do is find out which ones plan on striking work and which ones plan on striking food. Send out a questionnaire. So the ones that plan on striking food, we just don't order as much food for that prison indefinitely.
Right.
And let's take all of those taxpayer dollars that are being saved from feeding criminals, and let's say, I don't know, shift that over to fixing the immigration policy. I've just solved a major issue.
Listen to this. This article is from Vox, and this it's not about Vox. I just wanted to put that out there that I'm reading from Vox. This is a quote from Amani Sawari, who's a spokesperson for the protests.
He's a spokesperson for the criminals.
For the protests.
So
yes.
He is the criminal of criminals.
He's not a criminal, but he's a spokesperson for the protests. So like he's
now
the guy he's the guy organizing the protest. All right.
But he's not in prison.
I don't think so, no. Here's what he says. Prisoners want to be valued as contributors to our society. Every single field and industry is affected on some level by prisons, from our license plates to the fast food we eat to the stores we shop at. So we really need to recognize how we are supporting the prison industrial complex through the dollars that we spend. Let me read the first part of the quote again. Is anybody listening? Listen to this. Prisoners want to be valued contributors to our society. And do you want to know the number one way? You want to know the number one way to be a valued contributor to society?
Don't go to prison.
Don't break the law. Don't get locked up.
Actually be a valued citizen.
Don't eat on my taxpayer dollar. Don't live in a place on my taxpayer dollar because you could not handle yourself in the real world.
So listen, I'm under the assumption, I just want to put this into perspective. We're going to circle all the way back around now.
We usually do.
I'm assuming that because of the high-profile standing of the Molly Tibbetts case, that this gentleman is not going to be deported, and that's going to be the end of it. That he will stand trial here in America.
Mm-hmm.
So this animal that took this jogger off the side of the road, we don't know what he did to her before he killed her.
Right, because he blacked out.
Right. and throws her in a cornfield like trash and covers her up with corn stalks and leaves her in the field for the buzzards to eat her, is going to go to prison, and he's going to be fed the same quality or better food that we feed our children in the public school system. And we're going to pay for it, but he doesn't just get one meal. He gets 3 meals a day and snacks.
And he gets the opportunity to work. Now listen, they don't get paid a lot to work in prison, but you shouldn't.
I guess he's going to make $15 an hour if what's her name has anything to say about it.
He's going to go work in prison and make money.
No, what should happen is now, look, we're going to get emails about this, but it's okay. Listen.
Email is thirdpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on social media @thirdpodcast. I will answer them personally.
Here's your payment. Here's what your payment should be if you're in prison. You go and do your job. I don't beat you when you get back to the prison. You go and you do a sorry job, I'm going to beat you and make you go do it again.
I think punishment should fit the crime. That's what I think.
So you think if somebody kills somebody, you should get killed? That's too good for some people.
Yes.
It is. No, I agree. It is too good for some people. But what I'm saying is,
I got a story. Yeah, keep going.
Well, I'm just trying to think through it rationally. I'm trying to be sensitive.
So I want to know, does what happened with this guy?
I'm just saying. All I'm saying is, you can't. I'm all for us trying to be the best at everything we can be the best at. And I'm not saying that you make criminals slaves and like remove some, like I said.
Okay, you're not making
them
slaves.
Listen, just let me finish. I'm not saying that you remove certain human elements from people just because they make bad decisions or they found themselves in bad situations and whatever. They compromise their freedom willingly, unwillingly, however it happened. Like, I know there are lots of situations that will land you in prison. But what I'm saying is, maybe don't break the law and then decide that I want rights and that I want better wages and that I want better conditions. Like, here's some good conditions: not being in prison.
Yes.
There are plenty of options of conditions, but I'm sure somebody will say, well, yeah, of course you think that because you've always had means and you've always had somebody taking care of you. And so lots of people don't have that. And then they do what they can to get by, and then it gets them in illegal situations. I get that stuff happen. I get that.
Bro, I grew up broke.
I know
poor.
that it happened. I know. I'm just saying.
I
know
wasn't
that it
a criminal.
Happens. I know that it happened. I know what people will try to say to that. I get it.
What about this guy in South Carolina? We don't have to worry about paying for his meals. Mm-hmm. That's one good thing about it, I guess. Okay? But this guy, 36 years old, Justin Teeter Bensing. Mm-hmm. Okay? He plotted to make young girls his sex slaves and have babies until they die. And also opined in multiple message boards about his passions for cannibalism. Okay? He was arrested 2 times for soliciting a minor. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison, but the judge reduced it to 5 years and suspended the sentence, so he's not going to spend 1 day in jail. But if he goes and eats somebody, he could spend the whole 10 years in prison because that would be a violation of his parole.
See, like,
what's wrong with America?
It's not America.
He's already told you he's gonna do it.
It's like
he got arrested the first time. Yeah. And he got out. Then while he was out waiting to go to trial, he got arrested a second time. So he's learned his lesson now. Les don't even put him back in jail.
So he was planning to do that to those girls. Or he did do it. Did he do it or did he not do it?
Here's another miserable human being.
Did he do it?
He solicited, he did solicit a minor for sex.
Okay.
And admitted to he was also implicated in a sex trafficking ring.
Oh, yeah. Okay. See, for those people, those are the ones that the death penalty is too good for.
Our studio audience just brought this story to my attention. Ex-Texas doctor who raped heavily sedated patient in hospital gets no jail time. I guess because the patient was sedated. Listen. Oh, I can't even say his name. At Baylor College of Medicine was sentenced to 2 years of probation on Friday and will have to register as a sex offender. A 12-person jury found him guilty of sexually assaulting a patient 5 years prior. But the jurors recommended the sentencing, to which visiting senior district judge Terry L. Flanagan was required to follow by law, according to the newspaper. So they said, hey, don't make this, I mean, he's lived a tough enough life as a doctor.
Ain't it hard?
And after all, he didn't just rape her. He sedated her first. So there wasn't any real trauma.
How gracious of him.
Wasn't any real trauma because...
Yeah. That junk makes me mad. You've been quiet, Randy. What do you think about prisons?
When I start yelling, Randy gets quiet.
No, I feel like he just has an opinion.
No, I mean, look, it's a whole complex of issues like you've been talking about. It's a complicated issue. I don't.
I'm not trying to. I don't
and nobody's making a black and white issue. You haven't. I mean, I just don't know. We don't know what it's like. I understand. There's still,
man.
When I make a mistake,
no, not you.
Okay. Oh, I mean, you can get mad at me. That's cool too.
No.
Don't read those stories anymore.
When I guess people still have their humanity. There's still some dignity there. You know, like I don't.
Which is how I was trying.
Yeah,
to frame
and you did say that. The issue is
that.
What level of. I mean, how do we maintain their dignity while it's still being punishment? Does that make sense? There's a line somewhere that becomes crossed where the situation is undignified for them. Where there's basic human rights that people should have. Now, if I've made plenty of mistakes, we've all made mistakes. We may not have violated the law, but we've made mistakes. I did violate the law as a kid. I was a criminal as a kid.
Sure.
The things I did were ungodly. Like, I mean, I just did some really stupid stuff and never got caught. So I don't know. I struggle with it because there's a race issue that comes into because of the amount of African Americans that are incarcerated. That comes into the issue, and you can push further down.
Look, yeah, and I will
say that when I talk about prison,
yeah,
I'm talking about hardcore felons.
Yeah.
I'm not talking.
That's
about,
who I'm talking about. I'm not talking about people down here at the county jail.
They have too many speeding tickets,
DUI, bounce check. That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about, and the word prison to me means something different, I think.
Yeah.
Not jail.
Because I was so close to law enforcement.
Right.
My whole family was in law enforcement. When they talk about taking somebody to jail.
Right, it's local.
You know, that's a a good old boy that did something wrong.
Yep.
But when you go to prison, that's murder, that's rape, that's child rape. So that's what I'm talking about. And listen, these are not undignified. These are not undignified practices that these people are. They live better than a lot of people in third world countries.
Yeah.
Some of them do. Yeah. I mean, I know.
I just want to keep it in perspective too, because I will say this too. We've been talking about a lot of American systems and American policies and things that we have in place and how deep and how big the entity is.
Thank you for bringing some perspective on that, Randy.
No, it is.
Really.
It is good.
No, I guess here's my thing.
Because what I want to say is I do not put the American prison system beyond corruption.
Yeah.
either.
Oh, well, that's the thing.
No, the American prison system is corrupt.
It's definitely messed up. And there's definitely people in there that should not be in there. What I mean is, to frame all of it, if you are in there and you have done the thing that you're in there for, you have no right to go on strike.
Right.
And complain about your conditions when you're the reason you're there.
Yeah, I mean,
now, those people, if you're there as a result of corruption or some weird ring of, I don't know, extortion, whatever it was, however it happens, that's different. And those obviously
there are very few truly innocent people in prison.
But they do exist.
Yeah, see, I'm not even looking at it for me, it's not that perspective. It's just there's still people in prison. We want them. The thing is, we want to restore them. We don't want to just.
Oh yeah, see, I'm talking about people who are never getting out.
Yeah, I mean, people
that's
are
the
never
perspective.
Getting,
that's the perspective I came to.
You still want to. I mean, I still want to restore them as far as possible to flourishing as much as they possibly can in jail as a person. I mean, Jesus came. I think. I mean,
yeah.
to flourish people, and I know
do what you're told to do.
Yeah, we don't know what the situation could be deplorable. I mean, we don't know. You see TV shows and look at the guards and the. I mean, most of the shows I'm not.
Yeah, and it might be, and I know that there are places where it is horrible, but I think there are also places where it's not even really prison.
I agree with
it's a free hotel.
Sure, and that's true. I'm not talking about those places.
You know what I mean? Like, so I think
I'm going to say that even in the worst of the worst conditions, because the worst of the worst conditions are to the worst of the worst criminals. So, I mean, when you see corruption, those things happen in maximum security places, and listen, the deeper you go down that trail, the worse the conditions get.
Yeah.
Overcrowding is a real thing. But overcrowding is a real thing because our justice system works so slow.
And it works so weird. Like you guys just point out some cases where people should have been incarcerated and weren't. But then you have people get busted for pot or for, not pot, but for other smaller charges, and they're in jail for longer than they should be.
Yeah, no, there's definitely there is some corruption. It's definitely messed up.
Yeah, and what happens is somebody told this judge at some point, listen, we don't have a place for anybody else. Oh, he's only going to eat people. Well, yeah, I mean, we'll let him go. He's not going to sell pot. He's just going to eat somebody.
Yeah, that's beyond.
That's beyond comprehension.
He's just going to drug somebody and rape them. I mean, it's not like he's going to, he's not bringing it into the country. I mean, he's just, your average criminal.
Yeah.
But we don't have a place.
I guess, and your point is extremely valid. And
here's the problem that I have. Here's one of the problems I have. I can free up some space. If you're on death row, if you've been sentenced to death, why do we have people dying of old age on death row?
Yeah, I never understood why it takes that long.
I mean, there's stays of execution again and again. I mean, then you look at the flip side to that, and I'm playing devil's advocate for sure now. I wasn't a minute ago on purpose, but now I am. You get people that get let go after 20 years on death row when they're freed by DNA test. Or I know that that's very few and far between, but it happens. I mean, I think that's why they want to make sure they get it right. I mean, I'm personally not a supporter of the death penalty. I don't know. I want to see. I don't know. I guess I still have the whole. For me, it comes back down to they're still human. They messed up. If you keep them in jail forever and keep them from doing that again, that's great. And I know it costs money.
I think,
that's a worse punishment than death.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think the argument back is what I would say back to that is, and it's definitely situational. Definitely depends on the crime, but I think when you as a criminal, as a felon, and you deny someone else those rights, those human rights, by taking their life, or by rape, or by whatever it is, when you deny someone else those rights, you have forfeited yours for me.
But have you forfeited them forever? That's the thing. Like, death is a permanent thing. So that's my, I mean.
Yeah,
for me.
I'm kind of on, I just right off, what I want to say is, shouldn't have killed him.
Okay, here's the thing. When we look,
that's permanent too.
And I don't want to get, and I try not to make this podcast, I don't try to bring my churchy side into it at all. But when we talk about redemption,
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about spiritual redemption.
Yep.
Spiritual redemption can come and loss of life.
The thing is, you're cutting off a chance at spiritual redemption by bringing death. And then you're holding the power of God in terms of determining death. See,
wrong. Because we're given by God jurisdiction to enact.
I mean, that's
capital punishment.
That's debatable as whether or not Scripture teaches capital punishment and supports it. I mean, that's very debatable. There is no open and shut case for that in Scripture. I mean, you look back to the Old Testament, and the first person that kills someone's given grace, right? Cain.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, he's marked, and he's told he can't die. So, I mean, in some ways,
it's a prison sentence.
Yeah, it's a prison sentence. He's given grace.
For life.
Yeah, but he's not murdered. I mean, but then you look at Genesis 6.
But he's not restored either.
It depends on how you look at that as restoration. But then you get to Genesis 6.
Right.
And the flood, and it's like, well, what do you do with that? Then you get to Genesis 9, which is where the arguments come for, pro or contra. But then you have Jesus throws the whole thing. I mean, look at him. The woman who commits adultery is freed. She should have been stoned and wasn't. So, I mean, it's a complex argument. We can't solve that definitely in 5 minutes. I guess I err on the side of grace in those situations. I have a family member that was murdered, raped, most likely raped and murdered, left in a creek. They found her, and I still am not for the death penalty. I can't bring myself to go to court to look at that guy in the eyes. I just can't, but I still am not for the death penalty. I want to see this dude restored. I think that we cut that chance off if we, I don't know, if we take his life. So,
yeah, see, I commend that viewpoint because I'm not there.
Yeah.
Because for me, that's my family member. I don't have that, and maybe it's just where I am.
Well, the rest of my family, they're all like, give him the needle tomorrow.
Right.
I mean,
well, to me, if that's what happened, rape, murder, left in a creek, you don't deserve.
Here's
that.
the problem
I
have with okay, we're not giving him a chance. Pray for the dude. God never shows up late. God never shows up late. Redemption doesn't have to happen 20 years from now. It does it for someone who dies in a traffic accident. It is presented and it is received or not. And at that point, once we have it presented, Scripture doesn't teach that that it will be presented again and again and again and again and again and again and again. You have that opportunity, and you either receive it or you don't. We're promised that opportunity once.
Well, I mean, some people don't ever get it. If you want to look at it from the perspective of God's justice,
but if you were in an American prison,
yeah,
much more readily than living on in an American inner city, you have an opportunity to receive the gospel.
Sure,
every American prison has Christian preaching, usually daily or multiple times a day. Access to the gospel is unprecedented in American prisons. So if that is the case, they have the opportunity. If I'm going to ignore the opportunity, why do I get 20 years to ignore the opportunity when someone that person killed did not get multiple opportunities? They were denied the right themselves.
Yeah, I mean, my return to that would be the whole Old Testament is an example of God's grace to Israel.
To Israel, yes.
To Israel. And then if you look at it in the disciples' lives, doubting Thomas, I mean, he didn't believe till he could put his hand in the wound. Peter, he had more than one chance. And I'm not saying you have infinite chances. I think that at some point that ends and that's over. I do believe that for sure at death, that it's over, your choice is made.
Yeah, my only interjection about the Old Testament argument is lots of individuals died.
Oh, and it happens in the New Testament too. I mean, the Ananias and Sapphira, they have an issue. I mean,
and Thomas is okay. The whole thing with doubting Thomas, that had nothing to do with redemption. What he was doubting was not redemption. He was doubting whether Jesus actually rose from the dead or not.
Well, and that to me, that's tied to redemption, because if he didn't believe he rose from the dead, he didn't believe in anything. Paul says what? Now we're getting really churchy.
Yeah. I mean, but what I'm saying is that Peter's multiple chances were not about heaven or hell. They're about who am I willing to stand and say that this is the guy? Post resurrection, which is where post resurrection and ascension, these guys believed and gave their life.
Yeah. Eventually, yeah.
Yeah. So, that's what I'm saying is there comes a time where you do or you don't.
Well, all I mean is there's a paradigm of graciousness in Scripture, of more than multiple chances. And
I'm not saying that people shouldn't. I know you're convicted and they, and before you can get off get out of the room, they've stuck you with a needle and you die.
Right.
I mean, our justice system, it does give room for appeals.
Oh, it sucks because
and all of those things. But again, even that is politicized.
This situation I'm talking about happened years ago, and you know what? This dude still hasn't come to trial. And so what's going to happen?
He hasn't even come to trial.
No, what's going to happen is it's going to come back up soon. I think his trial is this fall, and it's going to come back up, and all these wounds and issues with my family are going to be opened back up again, and we're going to have to talk about these things again because it's drawn out over. And then every time he has an appeal, it's going to be horrible. The system is terrible.
How many years has it been?
Gosh, what years? I think it's been 3 years. It's just, I don't even like to think about it.
What is even a bigger travesty is when someone commits a crime. Now, they are in jail. Okay, they are locked up while they're waiting. But they get to the end of that, the judge finds them guilty, and they say, you know what, we're going to let you off with time served.
Yep.
And all these gaping wounds from the victim are there, and then this guy walks out of the courtroom a free man because he's already served his time because the justice system was so slow.
Yeah. There's definitely look, I brought a story up from Vox because the way it read was just
I agree with you.
We want to contribute to society. We're going on strike.
We have gone over.
We have gone on. It's been a good one though. But I was just bringing it because how ridiculous it read. There are obviously
since we're talking about all these terrible travesties of justice, though, I would like to bring up Urban Meyer, DJ Durkin, possibly Jimbo Fisher. I'm not sure that I'm not sure that DJ Durkin should not have some criminal charges filed against him.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you're talking about loss of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Urban Meyer, we're supposed to find out today. It hasn't broken while we were on here going over, has it?
No, I'm looking right now to double check.
No, it hasn't.
But, we're supposed to find out where they stand on that. My opinion, Urban Meyer is going to be the head football coach at Ohio State University. The assistant athletic director is going to get canned. That's going to be my take on that. And Jimbo Fisher has got allegations. But listen, we're going to save that for third and long. That will be coming up next week.
Third and long is returning. Mondays, what do we decide? At noon. High noon, Mondays during the football season.
Starting next week.
Third and long is returning. So, not only will you get your weekly dose of Third Thoughts on Wednesdays at 2 about all the political and comedic and serious and not so serious topics, but you're going to get Third and Long every Monday.
Yes.
At high noon.
And I'm
live on Spreaker, and we're going to talk about nothing but sports, mainly college football. This time, it's going to be different than it was last year because we got Randy. Randy's going to bring the UGA perspective. It won't just be an FSU echo chamber. It's gonna have some extra.
It's not going to be a FSU echo chamber anyway because I'm going to tell you where UCF should actually rest in the rankings.
Wait till Monday if you can.
But seriously, check us out Monday at noon. Third and Long will return. Of course, Third Thoughts will be here, as always, every Wednesday at 2 p.m.
They're the Golden Knights, right?
Except for when it's not.
Go Golden Knights!
Yeah.
They would win the SEC East.
No.
If it weren't for Georgia.
If it wasn't for Georgia, they'd just finish.
But thanks for being with us. If you've been with us live, we appreciate that. If you're listening later on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, if you're listening on iHeartRadio,
just chaos in here.
We know you're out there. We're wrapping it up here this week, but we're going to be back with you Monday at noon on Third and Long, Wednesday at 2 for Third Thoughts, I've been Clay. He's been the Chief. That's been Randy.
Goodbye.
RNDY. It's been a great week with you. Thanks for being here. Leave us a comment or a review. It helps us out the most. And until next time.